My final question is, just who are some of your heroes, literary inspiration, influences?
I mean, I have a lot. I mean, there are lots of sort of classic books and writers that I return to and read again and again. One of them is Chekhov, who I read a lot of, and I mean, there are more contemporary writers like Alice Munro. There's a writer named Dennis Johnson, and when I read his book called Jesus' Son, it was kind of like the moment I decided that I could maybe write, because it seemed like I had written it, which I did, because it's really good. So yeah, I mean, I review books for the Globe and Mail, which is really weird. So I read a lot. I mean, that's my job. I read, all the time. So. Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Before I leave the stage, just want to mention that you can always donate to VPL and the Carnegie branch for more events like this. We always really appreciate your support just to bring unique things to the downtown east side. Now I'm going to let you just take the stage and maybe some questions afterwards. So thanks again from the Carnegie.
All right. Thank you. First, I want to say thanks to Natalie and Barbara and everyone from the library and everyone at SBC and Paper Hound, who are an amazing bookstore here in Vancouver and are selling books back there. So, thanks for being here. So I'm going to talk a bit. I'm going to go for a half an hour, and I don't like to read for the whole time because I find it really hard to pay attention to anyone reading for that duration. So I'm going to sort of talk about the book a little bit, and I'm going to read a little bit, and then I'm going to talk, and then I'm going to read, and that's going to be it. How's that sound? And then I'm going to skate. I'm actually going to kill myself if I try to skate this ground. I grew up where there were no ramps. I didn't have the Richmond skate ranch, like many of you. Okay, so as I said, the book is like a coming-of-age story. It's told in two perspectives. That means through two people's minds. One of those minds is Diane Cardiel, her last name is. You guys are the only people who would ever get that. And so she was like an experimental filmmaker. She sort of has a twin brother who died really early on in her life. She's a woman who's endured all kinds of tragedy. And she returns to Thunder Bay, which is where they live, and then is afflicted with agoraphobia and cannot leave her house. And so her and her son Will, they live there, and until the first page of the book, when Will hears a noise outside and decides that he's going to go outside for the first time in his memory. And so the story is very much about being a parent. It's about being a kid. It's about having to let your kid go out into the world and fall down and take risks and to get embroiled in, there's kind of like a mystery and a disappeared kid sort of that enters things and later in the game. And so it's about all that stuff. So I'm going to read a section of Will, and this is on his first day of school. Things you need to know. He's going to say the Black Lagoon, and this is what he calls his mom's fear. This is like his metaphor for understanding, like the crazy, terrible anxiety that will just crush her at any moment. You guys ready? He hung his coat and lunch bag in the cloakroom where many of the same kind of jacket lined the walls, felt with leather sleeves and patches. Hockey jackets, he surmised from their insignias of variously paired stick and puck. His teacher, Mr. Miller, a gap-toothed man with glasses thick as double-pane windows, ushered him to his desk. This teacher was strange in two ways. One, he was a man, and two, he was old. Will had little contact with men beyond signing clipboards and writing checks, and the delivery men were prevailingly young. "You can sit in Jonah's desk for now," Mr. Miller said, his teeth whistling faintly, "but you'll have to move when he returns, if he does." Will crammed his legs into the desk as a wall-mounted speaker emitted an amplified breathing. "This is your morning announcements?" said the quaking voice of a student who described an upcoming hot dog day and impending hockey registration. Next came "O Canada," which Will had heard a few times before, then the Lord's Prayer, which he'd never. Sometimes, when feeling especially chipper, his mom sang 500 Miles, a song he liked that was about being poor and far away from home, a condition he hadn't much experience with, until recently, anyway. When she cleaned, she put on "The Rite of Spring," which sounded like a heinous multi-car accident, except that the cars were built out of orchestra instruments. To Will, it was the distilled sound of the Black Lagoon. "And may I introduce Will Cardio?" said Mr. Miller when the announcements concluded. "Will comes to us from..." He scanned down his sheet. "Where do you come to us from, Will?" "Home," he said, and the man jumped. Will realized instantly he'd yelled it. He had no clue how loud he needed to talk in this big inside for so many people to hear him. How to make enough sound to feed all those ears. "No, I mean, which school?" Mr. Miller asked while folding his arms. "Oh," Will said, in what he realized was a whisper. Kids were torqued in their desks, and Will hoped they could make out the forehead scar Marcus, his friend, had given him enough to admire it. That morning, his mother had cautioned him on revealing too much to outside people about their living situation. You wouldn't know it," Will said, juicing his memory for places he knew about. "It's in San Francisco." This conjured an image of him cuddling with his mother in their bed, and just as quickly he drove it from his mind for fear everyone could see it. Well, all the way to old Thunder Bay from California, aren't we lucky?" replied Mr. Miller. "Why don't you say a little bit about yourself?" Will was unsure if he was allowed to stand, but talking loudly while seated would feel gross in his belly. So he tried to rise and rammed his kneecap into the metal bar that fixed seat to desk. He lurched to the other side and managed to get upright. He considered writing a poem, reciting a poem, something his mother taught him by this woman she liked named Emily something. Yet like a burglar in a vacant house, Will's mind found nothing to grab and commenced tearing the place up. "Whenever you're ready," Mr. Miller said. Desperately, Will unearthed from his pocket the masterpiece blueprint he'd drawn of his ideal school. She called it visualization and said it helped with stressful situations. "But I'm not stressed, Mom," he replied, to which she knowingly said, "Not yet." Will heard himself describe the blueprint's features, holding it high so all could get a look, especially at its extensive legend, which curved because he'd run out of space at the edge. Mr. Miller was holding a ton of air in his chest and as though he was about to cough. Will raced to suddenly describe the varying depths of the indoor wave pool he'd included. "Okay, Will," interrupted Mr. Miller. "Okay?" Will said. He hadn't even described the sniper tower yet. "Very creative, great, and we've got plenty to get through today." Mr. Miller turned and patted his soft shoes over to his desk as Will's classmates smirked into their laps, shoulders bucking. "How about I drink chocolate milk out of your skull?" Will said to his teacher, but only in his mind, with black acid foaming in his chest and a hateful heat over him like a hood. Will vowed to burn the blueprint, but knew he couldn't do it publicly, which would be the incident's perfect comedic conclusion.